Guys, thanks for joining us. Gaffer, we'll start with you. Bradford City at the weekend. What are your thoughts heading into that one?
A tough game. No, looking forward to it. It's going to be an hard game. They've brought in a couple of players, but we've prepared and we're ready to give them a game, mate.
Yeah, our away form has been really good this season. Do you take that into account when heading to places like this, or is it just another game, really?
Just another game. You're only as good as your last game. But no, we got no fear. We know it's going to be a tough game. It's a proper football club. Good supporters up there. You know that they're always going to be vocal behind the sides. But listen, don't really care, mate. We got to do what we got to do, and if we do it well, I'll be quite happy.
It was great to see Tunny back on Saturday. Obviously the result didn't go away, but it was good to see him play 90 minutes and played really well for those 90 minutes. Was it, because often the case when these players are coming back from long-term injuries, they might not always get 90 minutes straight away. Was that always the plan, or was it sort of more to do with the amount of injuries that we got, that we had no one to replace him with, really?
That was a long old question, wasn't it? I never took breath there. No, we always wanted to play him for 90 minutes so we could knacker him so that he wouldn't be ready, but it's just the way it turns out. It's a compliment to Jordan that he was good enough or fit enough to do the 90 minutes. But no, I've said it all along. You've got to try and manage sometimes players react differently to injuries and put the work they put in to get fit. But he deserved to stay on for 90 minutes anyway. And I thought he might have got us a goal in the last minute, but he didn't.
Yeah, I suppose to some people outside it might look like we're getting over this sort of difficult period of injuries. Obviously the long-term ones, Jordan, Sam, Reece, are coming back, but when you look deeper into it, we still have such a long list of sort of small niggly ones that people will still be missing out on against Bradford.
Yeah, you could say that, but as I say, to miss out someone's quality of Jordan for the season, as it is at the moment, he hasn't been playing all season. It is a great loss, no matter what level you're at. You don't want to lose your best players or your better players, and the stability that we had at the back and through the team, we aren't big enough a club to carry people that are going to come in and do a job. But so it's a compliment to all the other lads. Jordan there knows he's got to work twice as hard now to keep his place.
Yeah, and obviously we know what Bradford are about. We know there's going to be a big crowd there Saturday, but if our away fans are as good as they have been in the last few games, we'll be sure to hear them at the weekend.
Hopefully, yeah, unless we're all deaf by them. But no, look, they've been fantastic all the while we've been away, and it's nothing better though when you go to these big crowds and you're doing well and it shuts the own crowd up. It's nothing better to hear that silence, and let's hope we do that with the Bradford fans Saturday.
Hey Jordan, obviously it's been great to see you back. Obviously you've had a few days after that game. How have you been feeling since that first 90 minutes back, since the first game of the season?
Yeah, good. It's probably took me a few days longer to recover than usual because it's my first 90 in a long time, but I loved being back out there Saturday. I said in my interview after the game that I want to be back winning football games, and unfortunately we've never done that, but just to be back out there and working hard for the team. When you're out for so long, you kind of lose feel of being part of the squad. The coaching staff and the players try and make you involved, but you always want to be out there, and you feel like you can't impact the team as much when you just sit in the stands. So I'm glad I got time to go out on Saturday, and hopefully I can push on now to the end of the season.
Would you prefer to play 90 minutes after first coming back, or was there any stage where you're sort of looking at the clock going, I'm blowing having not played in the start, or was it just good to get that mid-feeling back?
You probably do have the mentality a little bit before the game, that you haven't played in a while. That sneaks in a little bit, but when you're playing, you don't even think about the time, you don't look at the clock. The minutes go down so quickly, and especially being 1-0 down, it wasn't a case where we was cruising through the game, or we weren't in the game where I had to focus for the full 90 minutes, and I wanted to get back into the game, so I didn't really look at the clock, to be fair. And now I've ticked off that 90 minutes because I haven't done that yet this season. I'll come off after 30 minutes in against Hartlepool, and I never got 90 in pre-season, so just to get through that just mentally is really good for me.
Yeah, good memories for yourself at Bradford. Obviously you scored there last year in our 2-0 win, but I suppose you and the rest of the players will know all of what they're about heading into Saturday. Yeah,
definitely. Fans do make a difference, and when we played them last season there weren't any there, so I think it's going to be a different task to what it was last season. They'll have a lot of fans there supporting them, and we'll have ours, but I think if we start well, I think their fans could maybe turn on them a little bit and put them under pressure. So I think it's not the pressure's off us, but we can go out there and express ourselves, and the gaffer's alluded that to this week, and hopefully we can go there with a game plan and win.
What, in terms of now you're back in the squad, what are your personal aims and aims for the team for the rest of the season?
I think personal aims is I think everyone's is the same. They want to try and play as many minutes as they can. And then it's cliche, but you just got to take each game as it comes. If you look too far ahead and you jump too far ahead, you can get ahead of yourself. I think you've just got to concentrate on the next game, and I think that's the same when I say on a personal level and the team level. Personal level, I've just got to take it day by day, minute by minute, and that's the same when we play as a team.
Cool. Jordan, stay with you. How much, as a player, do you relish going to a ground like Bradford City with that big crowd?
Yeah, playing in front of like stadiums like that is what you want to do as a football player. The atmosphere that the fans create here is very good, but it's not the 16,000 that you go away to, and it's something that the players can enjoy and relish. You want to go there and you want to go and cause an upset and get the fans to turn on them, and it's a day out that everyone wants to enjoy.
Yeah. And how far do you think this Crawley Town team can go this season, realistically?
From the 3 years that I've been here, I think it's like the tightest knit group we've had since I've been here. Last season was very good, but with the lockdown and stuff, I feel like it was our outlet for us. But I think this season we can, like I said in my previous question, you can't look too far ahead. But I think as we take each game as it comes and the quality that we've got in the whole squad, I've been sitting out watching for 5 months, and the quality that we've got in depth is brilliant. When I wasn't playing, we've got 3-4 centre halves who can step in and do absolutely fine. We've got players in midfield and strikers who can come in and do the same job as the others, and I think that leads to a successful team when you've got someone who's out or players that are unfit. You've got players that can come in and do the same job. Yeah,
I was going to mention that actually. How tight did you think you were going to come back into it? I know there's been injuries and that, but with the form of Ludwig, Joel and Tony, you must have thought, blimey, this is going to be tough to get back in.
100%, but I think that brings out the best in each individual. If I was to sit here and the lads were conceding 4 every game, and then the foot was off the gas for me and I could just cruise through it, but that's not what it's been like. I've got to come back. I've had to come back and work with Joel and Steve and Ollie and Luke and work really hard to get my fitness up and then get the few weeks of training in, and I haven't been able to step back really. I've had to really go at it and earn my place back, and hopefully I can keep it. And there's a long way to go, footballers aren't silly. You can't play every minute every season. You try to, but hopefully I can impress the gaffer and the team can, and we can go on some winning runs again.
Yeah, thanks, John. Cheers. John, obviously you were disappointed clearly for the last 2 performances. Have you done anything different in training this week, and how have the players reacted to it? So.
No, I don't think so. I think the disappointment of last week was just, we was the home side, and I just don't think that we got at them enough. But the lads know that. Listen, it's me once again going a little bit garrity because it hurts me as much as it hurts the players. It hurts them in the dressing room. But it's difficult. They can go out and show it by kicking someone or lumping someone or doing what they're doing. We can't. You've got to sit there and take it. And especially the annoying thing is when you know what we've got. Yeah. It's when they don't deliver, and I back every one of them, and I think they know that. We don't send a side out there. There's no sort of like favourites to the extent of where, as Jordan just said it, we're conceding goals all over the place. How can you not miss a fella of his quality? But it's a compliment to the other lads that are coming in. But when we don't do what we've got to do as a team, it's so disappointing because they're letting themselves down. We don't want to miss the opportunities because I've been around long enough now that I think we've got something going here. And I'm not saying it's going to kick off whenever. I think if the fans and everybody sticks together, this club and this team could go places that I think will be a lot higher than most of them have ever been.
Yeah. You've got Bradford Saturday, Swindon Tuesday. They're 2 teams that have played in the Premier League. I mean, does that just show how tough, what big clubs there are in this division that you're competing with?
Not really. It just shows you that it weren't big enough for the Premier League, doesn't it? And so if it's all sorts for courses. There's got to be reasons why everybody in every club is this level for a reason. And we got no fear when you go on the pitch to play anyone. If you've got fear, you might as well just stay at home. But every dog has its day, and maybe it's about time we started getting a little bit of the rub of the green and everything else, and who knows where it leads us.
Yeah. And transfer window closes Monday. Are we expecting any other business to happen?
Yes, you are.
Yes. When?
If I knew that, I'd go down the bookies and put me. No, there will be something happening very soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Cool. And how would you rate this transfer window for yourselves? Obviously, the business with Glenn Morris and Joel Lynch. How would you rate your transfer window?
To be fair, sometimes they to get players like Jordan back, it's like having a new player because he hasn't played all season. To get Joel signed, it's like having a new player. We got Reece, you got Hopefully Jake back soon. They're our new players because we haven't really had the chance to have them, and I think Jordan will back that up. You look around the training ground a couple of months back and it was like an hospital unit. There was more people not training, so you look at him now and you're thinking, let's kick on. Joel can only get touch wood, and hopefully he's over everything and he can only get stronger. There should be clubs banging their door down, because last year he was head and shoulders above most people at this level, and there should have been people moving on. But it's a compliment to some players that they want to stay here and we all want to move on together. It would be a great idea if we all moved up and pushed on together, wouldn't it, as a team?
Yeah. And looking ahead again to Saturday, any players you're expecting back from injury?
No.
Fair enough. Thanks, Sean.
Great run of form, then a couple of games, narrow defeats. How are you viewing it at the moment, both of you? I mean, there's been some good football, but it must be frustrating at times, the inconsistency.
To me?
Yeah, both of you.
Well, I think we are consistent. We're very inconsistent. And listen, it happens like that when you can't get a settled side. And don't forget, it gives me the hump a little bit, because all you reporters and people that are writing all these stories about what we are and what we ain't doing, you always forget there's an opposition out there. And you're playing a side that's second in the league, that is one of the biggest football clubs in the league, and we're getting upset because we get beat 1-0 by them. That's the standards we've set ourselves. So I just look at that as a complete lot of old cobblers, and worry what we're doing. Look what we are doing, not what we're not doing. We know we've got to do better. We know we're going to push on. But all this inconsistency, I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest with you.
You don't think you've been inconsistent this season?
For reasons being, with injuries, with not being a settled side, with everything else. We're mid-table at this stage of the season, where I think you're not, God willing it don't happen, but you're not looking at the relegations, you're not in the bottom two. We know that we've had players that have been out injured that would have made a big difference to us. So inconsistency comes with an inconsistent team, and that means selection, that means everything else. But don't think that the lads are not trying, and don't think that the boys are meaning to go out there to make mistakes. There is oppositions. Teams are setting up to beat us as much as we're setting up to beat them. So when we get our so-called better players back, or the players that we want to be, we will be, hopefully. That consistency will come back. But it just gets on my nerves a little bit that people keep saying all that.
I would argue, actually, that you've, in a way, overachieved, John, with what you've had to deal with. Actually, the fact that you've got them this stage has been in many senses quite remarkable.
I totally agree with you. I think I've been absolutely fantastic.
I think what as a player, Jordan, do you agree? I mean, what's been thrown at the side, you being out as well, it's from the sidelines you must be impressed how the side are still in the mix, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think, watching from the side and seeing, I've probably had a different player sit with me every week watching on a Saturday. I mean, football is built on partnerships, and people do playing together quite consistently to do well. And the gaffer's had a lot of injuries this season. He's had to change the team quite a lot through no fault of anyone's really. And for the lads to come through and be, 2 or 3 wins away again, that's how quick it can change. You lose 2 on the bounce and everyone's being negative, and you win 2 on the bounce, and next thing you know, you're on course for the playoffs. So we don't look ahead at ourselves. We don't get too disappointed with losses. We just take each game as it comes, and you never know, if we go and beat Bradford on Saturday, then we're right in the mix again.
And often any side is built on a strong defence, and it's been interchangeable, isn't it? With some of you in and out, it's not been easy. You want to settle back 3, back 5, back 4, whatever, don't you? Yeah,
you do, yeah. I've sat in the stands this season being injured. Ludis sat in there when he'd done his shoulder, Lynchy. And Tony's been the mainstay of the back 4 or 5, and he's had to play with 2 or 3 different partnerships, and that's not easy sometimes. But someone of Tony's experience, he can get on with that. And the defences I've been watching, and I think the defence has done brilliant this season. And I've been looking forward to coming back and being part of that, and hopefully improving that.
What about Mr. Lynch? Joel brings a lot of experience, doesn't he? What's he brought to the party?
Yeah, his experience that he brings, him and Tony, both of them. You can just tell the amount of games that they've played at a high level. For someone like me who's come from the non-league system and have been playing in the league now for 3 years, I'm on my way up, and they're hopefully still on my way up with the club. But you know, they've come down and have had brilliant careers, and I can only learn off them. And Luda's the same. Luda's still learning the trade, and you can tell in training the way that they hold themselves and stuff, and we're learning all the time. And to play with someone like Lynchy is brilliant, and Tony.
And John's spoken at great length this season about trying to manage the players. You know, you're fit, you want to come back, or you've had COVID, you're not very well. How in your situation, you obviously want to come back as soon as you can, but John, I guess, and Lee have had to hold you back and pace you all and make sure you're ready.
Yeah, I think it's a hard job for the gaffer, for Bradders, Youngie, and the physio team, and Joel, because, you know, I probably wanted to come back 2 or 3 weeks early every time I had a setback, and I think every player's the same. They're always knocking on the door and trying to come back that week sooner, and because they just want to be involved and play. And for the gaffer and that to manage players is a real tough job, and to manage players' expectations of when they're going to be fit and when they're going to be playing, I think it's really tough. And the way they've managed it this season has been really good. The way they've managed me coming back now is really good as well. So, you know, hopefully I don't break down again, and I can see the rest of the season out.
As a player, does the tie or the match Bradford City still have the same aura it has had in the past? One of the great British traditional clubs, aren't they? How do you feel like going there this weekend?
Yeah, excited. I think everyone's excited to go and play at Bradford. The first time I played there was my first year in the Football League 2 years ago with Crawley, and we went there and we've done really well and just lost 2-1. But to go there and to cause an upset would be even better. To go there with all the fans and stuff and come away with a win, there'll be nothing sweeter.
And we'll find one to you, if I may. I mean, a couple of defeats in a row. Do you just carry on into the next game, don't you? Because you've had good runs and bad runs, and in different runs. As a player, do you worry about the last 2 or 3 results, or do you just another game?
No, even if you come off the back of a win or 3 wins in a row, you just focus on the next game, and you got to win that game. The consistency and inconsistency, it's like you can look through the whole season and you can have good runs and bad runs, you know, unless you don't look at the fixture list and you see someone, unless the rare occasion, win like 10 in a row, like that rarely happens. You want to try and do that, but that does very rarely happen, and unless you're Man City and you got billions of pounds in the bank. But we just look at next game, and that's Bradford away this Saturday. We know what they bring, they're a good team, but we'll just go there and play the 90 minutes and hopefully win.
John, you may have answered this earlier in the press conference. Transfer window shuts on Monday. Do you expect any ins or outs at all?
Yes, we've got a couple. Hopefully we'll be done. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Mind you, Bradford, or?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It all depends if the FA get their finger out and help us a little bit. Do the registrations.
You say much about who they are, where they might play, or anything? Obviously not named.
No.
And often, John, you've just sweated in this window because you've lost top players, and they've gone for big money, which has helped the club. Are you in that position this time? Are you worried about losing anyone before Monday? Or?
I think it's a compliment to the players and to the club, because Jordan, I tell you, having been lucky enough to been up the higher levels as well, it's what it's all about. The lads want to challenge themselves. And unfortunately or fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, if you've been a little bit of an influence behind in someone going and getting a move, that's what your job is. You're to improve people. As soon as you start stopping people moving on, it becomes about you, and then you just become a big-headed git, and you just lose your focus and you lose the players. The players know that me and Lee and everybody, we want the best for the lads as well. Because you know what? It's not rocket science, but if they do well, guess what? We do well. Guess what? The club does well. The fans do well. But it's all about the players that you're putting out on the pitch. You can have the best training ground, the best this, best everything. People pay to watch the best side. And I'm convinced that every side that we send out, one thing, they will have a go for you. And if we do that, on the back of that, I know that we got quality enough in the side to win games. We've just got to get that little bit more of, let's believe in ourselves, a little bit of belief. I believe in every player that we send out.